It's making money is not the problem. It's what we do with the money that we make that's a big challenge. So here we are, gathered here. Two couples who have not only requested the Debt Buster kit, but put it to use. So, with that, we're going to share some ideas with you. I expect orders for Debt Buster kits to multiply like rabbits over the next 24, 48 hours. I know both of their stories, but let me ask a question. First, I'll start with the two of you, Kelly and Eric. I met them in Roanoke, Virginia. Yes, Virginia. Little Roanoke with about 120,000 people turned out 500 people when I was there about a month or so ago, right? Is there a difference between the way you felt about your finances 3 years ago and how you feel today? Just go into that. Let's start with you, Kelly.
Sure. Before Advocare, we had about $57,000 in debt that we had accrued by bad decisions. We had made choices that weren't the best, and we had no time freedom. We barely got to see each other. I was a stay-at-home mom, and Eric was working about 70 hours a week so that I could do that. And we really wanted to be able to see each other, but there was so much fear attached with bills. And that fear made us very close-fist with the income we were making. And I think now that we've been able to eliminate debt, our hands are open to give, but also to receive, not just monetarily, but blessings in so many different ways.
That money, Eric, that you guys have paid off, pretty substantial amount of money. I'll mention I think it was $66,000. Understand something. That does not mean that they earned $66,000 and then spent it all on paying off debt. That's a mistake a lot of people make. Would you agree, Eric, or not, that Debt Buster changes people's thinking about what they do with money? It's not about making a lot of money so you can pay off all your debt. It's about changing your mind about what you do with whatever amount of money you make. Pick up on that idea.
I really think that Debt Busters did for us financially what the 24-day challenge did for us physically. And the same discipline and self-examination that we went through built those habits that we used. And like you said, of that 66,000, that wasn't all straight from Advocare. You know, we were so driven to get our family where we wanted to be. You know, like when I stepped away from my full-time job to come home and be with Kelly and the kids, you know, we sold one of our cars, and that was a part of it. You know, getting the income was a huge help, but then also the fact that Debt Busters laid out for us this roadmap of how to attack and how to get our family where we wanted to be was huge, because we have friends who say they want to get out of debt, but I don't think they realize where to start.
Well,
Ron, just
you look like, yeah.
I love hearing the story, because the reality is, of course, you want to earn the income that you can and be a good steward of it. But by employing the Debt Buster system, as you retire debt, you move closer and closer to the moment when a given single debt or maybe multiple debts are gone, and effectively in your household budget, you've just given yourself a raise. By the simple discipline of stewardship, you've given yourself a raise, because all the money that was going to debt service and all the interest that was going to debt service now remains accessible to you. So the whole mindset, and to your point, once you get that mindset about let's get control of this thing, you can get really creative and find ways to accelerate it if you want it bad enough. So I celebrate that. Give them a round of applause. Isn't that an awesome story?
When I met Kelly Olson in Roanoke, my first thought was, she has a smile that would light up a dark room. But it occurs to me, I'm glad you agree. It occurs to me, Rick, if I were to put the step-buster, pay off debt, create a plan B income, put it into a few words, what's the purpose of all of that? Well, when you have debt, you're paying interest. It's fairly well established that the average American is paying 20 to 30% of their take-home pay in the form of interest. So, a debt buster eliminates the debt so that you don't pay the interest, so that you can, according to whatever your accountant or CPA recommends, you now have this money that you used to pay in interest to your creditors. You can apply it toward earning interest instead. And as the years go by, each month you throw a certain amount of money in your investment account. See if you'll agree with this, because I'm now going to shift over here, James and Mariah. See, he's an attorney. I think it's okay for me to say that. When I was a young father, I wanted to be an attorney, but I ran out of money. They wouldn't let me come for free to college. But James, with your mindset, and they paid off a significant amount. My first encounter with you was an email that I got saying, I just paid $26 toward one of my credit cards. 3 days later, I get another email. I just paid another $12.36. I thought, who is this crazy guy? It's going to take you a while, pal, to get out of debt. This is James and Mariah Rudder, an attorney from Alabama. You've noticed Mariah, you're going to have another baby, right? Number 2. From an attorney point of view, what difference do you feel, you and Mariah, now versus the way you felt the day that you paid off your first $26 of debt? Address that.
Now I started to feel hope early on, but now more than ever, because I play good offense, deleting the debt and eliminating the debt, and she plays good defense, so she knows how to not spend a lot of money, and that's a big problem, so we don't take on any more. And I don't know if she's always had that mindset, but she has since we've been married, and that's a big part of it. So we're not taking on any more debt. We don't buy things that we can't afford. We know credit cards aren't okay, and my mindset was still changing when I was beginning to eliminate debt. But as you said, that first $26 or whatever it was, every little bit I knew that was that much less that was imprisoning me.
I don't know if you've noticed it. Both these couples are still in love. You notice that, holding hands? As it should be. And the more debt you pay off, the tighter the squeeze when you're holding hands. You don't have to fake it anymore. Knock off the fake it till you make it routine. Attack your debt. Tell us what your view is on debt.
Well, I was blessed to graduate college with not much debt, still more than I needed. But because my parents had helped me get through school and my debt was so low, I just thought it was normal. I just thought it was part of how things went, a part of life. And I've recently read this quote that I really like, and it's keeping up with the Joneses doesn't make much sense if you don't desire to go where they're going. And our vision for our future does not include debt. And I know that that's very different than so many other people who it's just it's a part of the checklist, the car, the house, the vacation, the clothes, whatever it may be. We have no tolerance for it because we know where we're going.
Yeah. The two of you, have you grown closer as your debt has declined?
Absolutely. I have such respect for Eric because he loves Debt Busters even more than the 24-day challenge. And he has lost over 82 pounds. He is incredible, but he has been laser focused because he knew that our better future lied on the other side of debt freedom. And so I am a spender, and so I have a hard time pulling myself back, but I know that Eric wanted what was best for us. And I have such even more respect than I did before because he's changed the course of our family's legacy forever.
Well, Eric. By the way, debt is not normal. It's true that over 80% of Americans have more debt than they can comfortably handle, but it doesn't make it normal. And even if it were normal, become abnormal. Be part of the 3% who doesn't have any debt. That's the club you want to join. Now, between the two of you again, don't take this personally, James. Don't file suit against me. How did you feel about, since he was the guy with the big chunk of debt, am I right? How did you feel about inheriting his debt?
Well, when you get married,
We can skip
yours is
that
mine.
if you want to.
No, it's okay. I had no worries about it because, again, like I said, we have no tolerance for the debt, and we can see the future when we are debt free, and we are laser focused on that. And I know my husband and how disciplined he is and how passionate he is about also helping others accomplish debt freedom and for fighting for our family's future. And it never crossed my mind that this would be something that would be with us throughout our lives. It's not will we eliminate the rest of our debt, it's when, there's an end in sight.
You're sitting here watching James, an attorney. Are you getting close to zero debt?
We still have a little bit more after the pro shop, but we still have a chunk more. I don't remember the exact number we started with. It was well over 200,000, so I tried to forget it. Put that number over here and not think about it. Well, we have, I know I told you a couple days ago, it was right over 173,000. We've now, last night in our diamond meeting, eliminated another 700 while I was sitting there, so we're over 174. And if they would let us pay our car payment online, I would have done another 1,000. So
Rick, there's a lot of fascinating debt busting stories, as you know. But if I were going to point to somebody who has methodically applied the disciplines of debt buster, to me, for the benefit of your two little babies, the one that you have and the one you're about to have, will grow up into a debt-free home where money is discussed and the consequences of debt is discussed. That's a whole new world, everybody. And Rick, most of you know that Rick is a part of me. When I need to dump or I need advice, this is the man I go to. And he has strong feelings about debt. He's been sitting there a couple of times just wanting to jump in. Go ahead, well, Rick, what's your view?
You know, I want to give you something that I believe in strongly. Jan and I have practiced this. We've been married 42 years. We have practiced this since the day we got married. And I got to tell you, where we came from, we did not come from an advantaged background financially by any stretch of the imagination. It just wasn't in the cards. We loved life, had a great time. So this has nothing to do with about the quality of life you can enjoy, even if there is debt. We just didn't come with those resources. But there's a phrase that's applicable really only in the main to the United States of America. And it's one of those catchphrases, but we spend money that we don't have to buy things that we don't need to impress people we don't like. And so now there's more to it than that. You know that, and I do too. But underneath both of these couples' stories, here's a takeaway for you from my heart to yours. And it's easy to find, but it is a simple principle called the principle of deferred gratification. So whatever your spending patterns or habits or mindset is at this moment, I mean, that's reality, and you've got to confront that and address the questions inside your heart and head and have the conversation, if you're married, with your spouse about this, because these are not simple waters to navigate. You know that. Nevertheless, the fact that it's difficult doesn't mean that it's impossible. It just simply means that I've got to look at that potential purchase, expenditure, whatever, the track I'm on, and I've got to say, I'd like to do that. I'd like to have that. I'd like to drive that. I would. But I'm not going to because I want something else more. Just to say I'm not going to spend money, you're going to run out of gas in most of the situations with that. There's a fatigue that sets in. It was just don't. There's a fatigue that sets in. But if you say, I'm not going to because I want to be able to take my kids to Disney World on a cash basis, that's why I'm not going to buy that. You got to have a bigger reason behind it. Deferred gratification. Deny what you want for the moment for something that you want in the future. That can empower you. It empowered both of these couples. You kept your eye on the future rather than the present payoff. Bless you.
Rick, go ahead. All of us here are engaging in one of the two human behaviors when it comes to money. Either instant gratification, I want what I want when I want it. And when you get your Advocare check, or if you never get an Advocare check, but you're like the average American with 9 credit cards. You see the big TV, you put it on your card. You have this need, you put it on your card. Wanting what we want, when we want it. I would urge you to become part of the delayed gratification club. Attack debt. And if you'll do that, you'll get more of the treasures and fewer of the trinkets. And you'll take back control of your life. I want to thank our two panelist couples, Rick, Lori, and each of you for what you're going to do now with Debt Busters.